Hey everybody, just going to get started very, very shortly. Just making sure we're totally connected and then we'll get going. All right, cool. So welcome everybody. Welcome to day number 2 of the Business Growth Pathway Strategy Roadmap Challenge. And I know that's quite a mouthful. It's a lot to do, but I want to keep it short and sweet to give you the tools that are really, really important to build that roadmap up. And so that gives you something to be able to see exactly where you need to go with your business, a step-by-step process. And we're going to get into the fun stuff coming up pretty quick. But at the end of the day, at the end of this challenge, we're going to be able to have our own specific roadmap that looks something like this. And I'm going to be able to show you exactly what's coming up with that once we get into it. But this is the outcome, is that we'll be able to build a roadmap, a step-by-step structure that shows you exactly what you need to do and when you need to do it as well for your business online as well. So really looking forward to getting going with that. So today we are talking about obstacles rather on day number 2. And I first want to go back in terms of how can we show, I want to show you the model that we're using first so that it kind of makes sense and you'll kind of see how the pieces fit together as well. And then we'll get into the more specific obstacles, what they actually mean, and then how you can overcome them. And that's the activity, the action step for today as well. So let's get into this and switch things up. Actually, I want to start at the beginning. I'll just jump back here a few paces as well, just so that you can see everything that's happening. But the Digital Business Growth Pathway Strategy, the GPS as I call it, challenge, and just making sure that we have the pieces in place to be able to guide and navigate our business. And I know how difficult it can be and how challenging it is. And we don't always see everything, and we don't always know exactly where we want to go and how we want to get there as well. So I liken it to an expedition, and there's a couple levels of this. You don't have to worry about the full expedition. Right now, we're still just kind of a little smaller piece with the roadmap. A roadmap becomes, or rather comes before an expedition. We kind of have to get to the base camps first. But fundamentally, we need to ask ourselves, are we on a safari or an expedition? And to me, a safari is just observation and seeing and that sort of thing. It can be fun, it can be interesting, that sort of thing. But is it really going to impact the business? Is it really going to take the business forward? And how is it actually going to be able to do that? So that's why I liken it to an expedition, and this is the digital expedition that we're going on. And ultimately, it's a journey of digital transformation, but we need to put it in terminology that kind of makes sense and that we can actually act upon it and do things and see things along the way. So we want to make sure that we look at this. How can we move, past our fear zone into our learning zone and into our growth zone as we build the steps into, this digital expedition? And what are the pieces that we need to be able to do that? We need to start with a strategy and a roadmap, right? That's fundamentally what we want to do. And you're going to be seeing these triangles a lot, and I use them quite a fair bit because they represent a lot and they're able to demonstrate specific concepts as well. So you will see this a lot, and that's what we're going to be getting into. So what do we want? Where do we want to go? Right? This is the ultimate goal that I talked about yesterday, was how do we actually define that? What is the ultimate call to action? And if you're still sort of looking at how can I put the pieces together from yesterday, take a look at day 1 where we actually go into that. But ultimately, the call to action is where are we taking our audience, right? What is it ultimately that we're going to deliver to them? I use call to action just because it's a marketing speak type term. Everything that you do online should have a call to action, right? There should be something specific that you need to be able to do. And so having a CTA, a call to action, as an overall business objective allows you to be able to see that in the perspective of the customer as well, in the perspective of the audience. So it's important that we have that call to action there that says, this is what we need to be able to do. This is what we need to be able to deliver. And at the end of the day, it comes down to, what will your customer, will your audience know when they've arrived? And it could be something simple as, providing that specific service that you do. Or in this case, if you want to use this as an example, it's providing you with the tools to be able to build a roadmap. And those are the key call to actions to say, how do we actually get people to get businesses, get entrepreneurs, get extraordinary entrepreneurs and founders to build a roadmap that gives them that ability to navigate through chaos and through normal events and abnormal events and that sort of thing. So it really gives us something to do and to look forward to as well. So if you haven't done day one, just quickly go back, find your call to action. And there's a lot of works. There's a Jamboard that we can go through, and I might summarize some of these tools at the end as well, because we'll be consistently using those. But brainstorm what that means to you as well, and it's super, super important. And I put up a post today to say, what is your ultimate call to action? Because that's going to be critical to you going forward. And that's one of the first pieces, start with the end in mind, because that gives us something to be able to fill in these pieces as well. So let's take a look at that and get your specific call to action. But what are, some of the general, now we're going to get sort of into the general obstacles. What are the top 3 obstacles and pain of operating your business online? A lot of them, I hear this, quite regularly, and it might be the same, it might be different, but no impact, no traction, no resources, wasting time, wasting money, no organization, no structure, confusing and overwhelming as well. So I'd love to hear what you have to say. So if you can, put it in the comments. I see we've got a few comments already. All right, cool. Hi, just dropping in and say hi off the bed. Yeah, it's we're running around the world, so I appreciate that. And I can't see who that is, but I will go back into the comments and respond directly. So thank you for joining in. Can't share, is that by design? I'm not sure I follow that question. I'm sharing my screen now, if that's helpful, and hopefully you can see that. Yesterday I wasn't able to share the screen because I was going live from within Facebook, and the interface is a little bit different. Today I'm using Restream, which actually allows me to do a lot of different cool stuff. And maybe I can run a quick little session on that one of these days as well, but that allows you to change the screen, right? I had that music going when we started with the jazzy chill music. So I can add that. I can bring in guests. I can put in graphics as well, which are pretty cool. I think you saw those. I can add graphics too, and screen overlays as well. So anyway, that's a little bit different. So it allows me to share the screen, and that's fundamentally what I want to be able to do. Today I can add screen graphics at the bottom as well. So let's keep going here. So I wanted to be able to do this as fairly quickly as possible. I know everybody's busy with their business and that sort of thing, but if you do have a comment or question, please just ask. And if I can't answer it right now, I will answer it later as well. So again, the ultimate goal here is to give you some key high-level type activities, some key strategic activities that you can go through and understand fundamentally what you want to do. So again, day 1 was looking at your clear call to action. Day 2 is looking at some of these obstacles that are getting in the way. And I'd love to see what yours are specifically, and that's part of today's exercises too, is just going through it. And there's a worksheet that'll have the link in the comments as well that you can go through to take a look at, okay, what's really slowing me down? But fundamentally, the model that I'm using here is looking at this. So this space in the middle here is your ultimate call to action, right? That's what I spoke of yesterday. So it's really important that we know that, because then we can build everything around that, and that's a key ingredient here. Now, the obstacles, those are basically looking at these outside of us to say, okay, well, what's stopping us? What's slowing us down in what I call side A, and we got side B and side C, and this is all part of that triangle that I'm going to be getting into a lot more detail as we get into it. But those are really important to understand. Okay, if we want to get to our call to action, what is the barrier? What's the first thing that's going to happen to kind of slow us down? And that's why we need to look at these specifically: obstacle 1, obstacle 2, and obstacle 3. And then tomorrow, day 3, we're going to be looking at the fixes. And again, there's specific things I'm going to want to go through with you, but just to give you an idea of this is how it's going to all fit together. And then that's how we get to, the final step where we're able to create the strategic model right here. That'll actually be able to build. So that's what we want to look at, is what are these obstacles? How do we fix them? Where are we taking our audience to as well at the end of the day? So in terms of what I've identified as being key, there's really 3 steps that are getting in the way, 3 of these obstacles, right? And the first one is what I call being fractured. The second one is called what what's called friction, and then the third one is what I call being fragmented as well. And I'm going to go through, there's a lot of depth here, so this is actually one of the PDFs that you'll be able to download as well, so you can go through it on your own time and read them. But fractured, if we start with fractured over here, right? Fractured positioning with your ideal audience. So this is really critical. It's not sure how to capture new demand. Journey is unknown and your message is broken. You're not sure how to leverage your expertise and your own genius. Will your message actually be heard? And if it reaches your audience, how hard will you have to work because it is fractured? These doubts erode your positioning with your perfect client, making it impossible to market and sell. Friction. So what is friction? Friction in your progress and in finding and targeting your audience. So what does that mean? Not being able to create your own uncontested market space. You're simply not in front of the right people, the right audience at the right time with the right data and the right tools. You don't have the information that you need nor the tools to be able to deliver your message on time to the right person at the right place. So you're nowhere near your target audience. And then the third one is being fragmented. What does that mean? Well, fragmented and disconnected clients. So your business is not compelling in order to make your competition irrelevant. Your environment is not engaging and not compelling. Your digital assets are not aligned with your customer journey and business goals, and your digital experience doesn't satisfy. Prospects don't seem to get what you do, and even when they do, they don't seem to want it. Does that make sense? So if you can go through these, and I'm going to go again, this is part of the PDF download, and I'll put the links in the comments so you can grab the sheet as well. But I'd love to hear, in the comments right now, how do you see your business as fractured? How do you see it as, what friction is there that's slowing you down? And then how do you see your business as fragmented as well? And this is one of you can go through this in a lot more detail as well. What this actually feels like, what it actually looks like, some more detail as well. So I'll maybe just quickly go over this last one. What does this pain look like? Well, fracture is not always organized, no real structure to rely on, confusion as to what button to push, overwhelm on what to do next, deciding on what to do next, knowing where you want to go, not always having clarity and direction. Friction is unconfidence, is what I call it, and overall skills and competencies. Not really using your expertise, no reliable results, little resources in alignment, wasting time, wasting money, little trust, and feeling like you have to hard sell. And then fragmented is uninspiring because of uncertainty, little impact, no traction, and no conversions as well. So here's the worksheet that you'll be able to print out and then edit or add or whatever the case may be. So if you can, pick a couple, usually one or two or even three if you can, to be able to see what exactly these are, because we need to identify those. Because if we don't identify them, we're not going to really be able to see how we can fix them. So that's really important in terms of why I'm structured it this way. So number one is, what's your call to action, right? What does this main triangle mean? Where this is our ultimate goal that we want to go. Then what are the obstacles that are preventing us from getting there? And then tomorrow, we're going to get into fixes. So I think that wraps up pretty everything that I wanted to talk about. If you do have some questions, please put them in the comment box. And I am trying to sort out how to actually convey the information too, because it's in the event and it's also in the Facebook group too. So I just want to make sure that everything is streamlined as well. And I can actually put them in guides, not to cause any more confusion. So that's about it. I just wanted to quickly as well, just before I cut off here, is I want to show you some of the tools that we're using, because I wasn't able to do this yesterday because I wasn't able to share the screen on Facebook yesterday. So let's try this again. Yeah, I've got that. Make sure I've got the right page. Yeah. And like I said, if you do have questions, please feel free to jump in and ask them while I'm fiddling with all these buttons. Okay, so there are a couple of pages that in the links that you'll see, so that are able to kind of provide that that level of detail. That again, I want to provide the high level stuff, and if you go through this, take 10, 15, 20 minutes kind of thing, you'll be able to see the key ingredients and what's really important type thing. So there's one link that takes me to what I call my FYI page, and this is where all the links are. So from yesterday, we have the video. We have the presentation, we have that worksheet, and then we also have the Jamboard as well. And what the Jamboard is actually, it's a brainstorming tool. It can be quite interesting, quite fun. But it allows you to use sticky notes and then add that specific text and that specific content to each of those. So you can either add yours here, or you can copy it and create your own type thing as well. So it's something to think about. But if you want to just look at the questions, you click on them and you can expand them out. And then if you wanted to answer, you just click on the spot, and then what was the question? What is your biggest, largest goal or outcome that you want to achieve? So create, in my case, create a ultimate call to action. And then that gets posted in there. And then this allows us to comment on each one of these, or see, or copy and paste it. You can copy and paste it to another board as well. And in the case of day one, the question was your big call to action. So what do I want to achieve for my business, the problem, and what do I want to make happen for my audience, the promise. And then for today, day two, identify your obstacles. So what do your obstacles look like? So the points that are fractured are, so you can list these out. My points of friction are, list them out. And then my business looks fragmented here as well. So, all right, cool. Well, let's wrap that up and jump back to music. Check out any last questions. If you do have something, please do so in the comments. So thanks again for watching. Appreciate your time. Appreciate taking the time out of your busy day to be able to see this and do this. So if you do have any questions, as I've said many times, please just feel free to ask. I'll come back in and do that. And we do have also the chat room as well that I run every afternoon for, just to connect with some of the other people that are on this, as well as just kind of see where we're at, and if you want to ask any other specific questions and that sort of thing. So fantastic. All right, I will say goodbye. Have a wonderful day, and we will see you guys online.